UEFA is holding an emergency meeting tomorrow. That's after Gianni Infantino told FIFA's 211 member associations they've got 53 days to sign up to his plan to sell the World Cup, shares in the World Cup at any rate. It's prompted a really, really strong reaction around the world and right here. Our reporter on Times Radio, Maddie Wilson, has been out and about just asking people what they thought.
Did you know about Gianni Infantino selling his shares in the World Cup?
Yep, just read about it this morning. Absolutely ridiculous. You can't sell off football. Football's for the fans. You cannot be commercialising something as big as the World Cup. I feel like he's been coerced by, Trump's son-in-law and his brother have got part of it. That's ridiculous. Something dodgy going on there. Football's for the fans, and I think UEFA should get involved and do a splinter movement to take FIFA away from FIFA.
Obviously, it's not his to sell. It belongs to the world, not him. It's not his business to sell.
And obviously, he's going to be potentially selling them to a relative of Donald Trump. What do you reckon on that?
You can see that one coming, couldn't you? I mean, Trump's been trying to get into him for a while, and his mates have as well. So I'm not surprised, but it was probably going to happen. It's probably like the end game for all that Trump involvement in FIFA with Infantino as well.
You cannot have your mate that you've just made in America and then selling it to his son-in-law's brother. That just stinks of corruption for me.
I think it's outrageous. It just confirms what a lot of supporters have been thinking, that the whole World Cup and FIFA are corrupt. I think it's really disappointing. It was said this morning, football is for the fans, and that's being taken away. Donald's got his fingers in lots of pies. We can see that from the World Cup, from the World Champions Cup with Chelsea. He was there, he wants to be in there, and it doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Well, quite a lot of cut through on this story, as they say, awareness of what this is all about, which is no great surprise, is it? I mean, a lot of those people there that we heard from, I think, speaking for a lot more of us. Matthew Syed is a columnist for the Sunday Times, has been writing about all of this. Hi to you, Matthew.
What a good afternoon to you, John. Nice to be in the studio, air conditioned.
Some of us, Matthew, I can remember when we used to think about football as a refuge from the things that upset us and wind us up, the sort of, the things that really make you feel there's something wrong with this world. Now, so much for that, Matthew.
Well, I think it still is that. I mean, it's a safety valve. I have a season ticket at Brentford, and I love going along and forgetting the political contention and losing myself in the athleticism of these fantastic sports people. I felt the same way to a large extent about the World Cup. Let's not forget, FIFA has always been corrupt. For a very long time, under Sepp Blatter, UEFA under Michel Platini, previous incarnations as the president of FIFA have had their fingers in the till. For me, there are two aspects of this story that make it a watershed in the history of global sport. The most important one is that there is shamelessness. Infantino, the president of FIFA, is parading the duplicity, the avarice, the venality of the institution by going in with a member of the Kushner family, the brother of Trump's son-in-law, coming off the back of a World Cup where a suspension was rescinded after a phone call was made by Trump to FIFA, after FIFA had given Trump a peace prize. Who would not be embarrassed to go along with that kind of charade? But Infantino smiled as he handed over this absurd bauble to a democratic leader who has created more global turmoil than almost anyone in recent memory, and even has bought office space in Trump Towers. So this is a watershed in terms of the fact that FIFA previously tried to conceal its deceit. Now I think Infantino is restructuring FIFA in the image of Trump. It all comes back to Trump, and my argument in the Times today is that Trump is almost in a way rewiring the world's moral psychology. He is turning shameless monetising of one's power into something that people don't feel embarrassed about. They almost want to parade it and celebrate it.
Yeah, I think you're so right, Matthew. And we remember very well the scandals of Sepp Blatter's reign at FIFA. He used to talk about, you remember, giving FIFA members gathered in their great conference halls bonuses. Right. We knew what on earth that meant. But now we've got a man at the top, Gianni Infantino. He just doesn't care.
Right.
He simply doesn't care what you think about all of this. The smile never never
wavers. And by the way, the doubtless octopus-like structure that will funnel whatever money is raised by leveraging the commercial collateral of the World Cup, which is quite significant.
Yeah.
I have no faith in trusting Infantino to decide where that goes. He talks about grassroots football. I have no trust in the organisation, but, and this is quite an important issue, UEFA is standing up to this to an extent. You remember the European Super League? This really was rejected off the back of 72 hours of fan outrage and national governments. Where is the FA in this? A really limp-wristed statement this morning. Debbie Hewitt, the chair I know and like, they should come out and say publicly we no longer back Infantino. And that, I think, would send a message to other FAs around the world. To be honest, they don't always look up to the English FA as a bastion of moral authority. They think that it's hypocritical, which it has been over the decades. But I think this is a time to act. So
denounce Infantino. You think that wouldn't especially be really difficult? What about the idea, because they're going to be talking about that when UEFA pulls the European leagues together, the idea of threatening at least to boycott the World Cup? I mean, can you see the FA going there?
They should certainly do that. I mean, what I meant by saying that they no longer support Infantino is as a first step to saying if you go ahead with this scheme, certainly without the clarity of detail that is required to know where the money's going to go, we are going to boycott the World Cup, which would lose all its commercial appeal without European teams and without the England team. But it's just worth saying that I know you've covered this a lot, but what I meant by the shamelessness of Trump infecting other institutions like FIFA, it is extraordinary when you take a step back and look at the sheer litany of dubious dealing of the second Trump administration. You look at what he did with the meme coin. There's now figures published on that. He's enriched himself to the tune of $2 billion plus. Some of his base have lost up to $3 billion in backing some of these ventures. You look at the hotels going up around the world with the Trump brand, how the tariffs have been used as leverage. An essay on foreign affairs recently described Trump's foreign policy as really a form of personal enrichment, that it's subordinate. This is a remarkable period in the history of the world's most important democracy. And I think some institutions have turned their back on Trump. FIFA clearly is modelling itself on him and his modus operandi. And I think this is an absolutely crucial moment. For me, you know, Hollywood is important in cultural terms, but football is a massive global cultural institution. It's got to take a stand.
And when you describe Infantino's attitude as shameless, it's an absolutely purely accurate word. I mean, you can see President Trump's monetization of the presidency from space. I mean, he seems to care about that, or people noticing it, even less than Infantino cares about what we see him doing. But when you talk about the president having sort of rewired the world's moral psychology, I hope that's not quite it. I hope that the president's given a kind of a license, a permission to people whose inclination is to do that, and maybe encourage those people to go further than they might have done, rather than change the entire moral climate.
I say he's trying to rewire. I finished the piece I wrote today saying that shame isn't dead yet. But it is interesting that you're getting more and more academic essays about the rise of kleptocracy, that this is something that is spreading. And I do think that one wouldn't want to say Trump has been wrong in every respect. I think Trump derangement syndrome is a problem. I support Trump's closing of the southern border. I think he was right to push back on woke ideology. I think he was right to recognise the threat of the Chinese Communist Party. He shook some of the complacency. I mean, it's very important in terms of trying to get Europe to step up and start spending on defence. We had free-ridden for decades, and diplomatic words from everyone from Eisenhower through Kennedy to Obama made very little difference. It's still not actually making it. So I think we need to draw a distinction in our minds between some of the policies that Trump has enacted, I think, have been wise strategically, but the base corruption and the insidious decay in the social norms, both in the institutions of the United States, but also, as you say, the contagion we're seeing amongst people who are minded to have done that anyway. I do hope that other Western institutions, other Western governments are capable of standing up to Trump, because it's pointless bending the knee and genuflecting. He takes whatever you give him and comes back for more. He's not one of these people who's willing to negotiate. He scents weakness. He scents Have I got that right? SCENTS.
Yes.
He scents it.
Smells
it. Thank you, John. Better broadcaster. And then he goes for it. And I just want to see a bit more resolve from Western nations.
All right, pleasure to talk to you, Matthew. Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Matthew Syed there, Sunday Times columnist.